At 38, with a legacy etched in the Suns' resurgence, Chris Paul got blindsided by trades that sent shockwaves through the league. The Phoenix Suns, the team that rejuvenated his career, sent him packing to the Nationals' capital. They packaged him with Landry Shamet and tossed in a handful of draft picks, all in exchange for Bradley Beal and Todd. But wait, there's more. The offseason bombshell didn't stop there. Perhaps the most surprising move was when the Golden State Warriors swooped in to trade for Chris Paul, fresh off his Phoenix exit and now a Wizard. The Warriors sent Jordan Poole packing to the Wizards in a move that left many scratching their heads. This move is confusing on the surface, considering Poole's age, star potential, and the fact that he signed a whopping $128 million deal with Golden State just last summer. So what's the real reason behind this whirlwind of a trade? Stay tuned as we explore the chaos and reveal the surprising reason why Chris Paul was traded 2 times in one offseason. Now, we've seen CP3 work his magic, helping the Phoenix Suns rise to unprecedented heights. Remember that run to the 2021 NBA Finals and the franchise record of 64 wins in a regular season? But the Larry O'Brien trophy remained elusive. Chris Paul's basketball IQ is off the charts, no doubt about that. But let's talk off the court for a sec. The trade that shook him? Maybe not as surprising as he let on. Trade rumors were swirling around him for weeks, and the idea of him getting waived wasn't exactly far-fetched. The factors stacked up. You see, Chris Paul had a hefty salary. His age wasn't exactly trending in the right direction. And his stats, well, they were not what they used to be, with 13.9 points and 8.9 assists over 59 games. So the real jaw-dropper here was that another team was willing to take on that substantial paycheck. Chris Paul, in an interview, admitted it's a tough business. He said, "It's tough. Seriously. It is part of the business. And what you realize is that no one owes you anything. No matter how you are with them or what you do, you realize that in this business, nobody owes you anything, as it should be." He's right. Nobody owes you a thing in this cutthroat league. But here's the kicker. Someone did pick up the tab. The Wizards took a gamble, with Paul on the books for nearly $31 million this season and a non-guaranteed $30 million for the 24-25 season. That's commitment right there. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Why did CP3 get traded? There's the short answer, which we know, and there's the long answer, which is a bit like deciphering a basketball playbook. In a nutshell, the Phoenix Suns pulled the trigger on the trade because, let's face it, Chris Paul is not worth that hefty $30.8 million tag for the 2023-24 season. I mean, last season, he hit a career low, averaging 13.9 points per game, and his defense took a noticeable dip. Playoff time? Yeah, he struggled to stay on the court. Legend or not, no NBA team can comfortably justify that kind of paycheck anymore. But here's where it gets intriguing. The Suns had a clever out. Only $15.8 million of that $30.8 million was a sure thing. So they used the stretch provision, spreading those payments over 5 years. But, and here's the kicker, doing this meant they couldn't bring CP3 back, even if they wanted to during his initial contract term. A gamble? Maybe. A statement? Absolutely. Phoenix was essentially saying, we'd rather have Paul off the roster at a $3.2 million cap charge than on it at $30.8 million. And hey, plenty of other teams would have played the same hand. Now let's talk long game. The Suns, under new ownership with Matt Ishbia at the controls, traded CP3 with a strategy in mind. They got valued at a whopping $4 billion. So it's not just about saving a buck. It's about reallocating resources where they matter most on the hardwood. How do they plan to do this? That's the million-dollar question. The Suns were playing financial chess, and the 2023-24 cap was projected at $134 million. Even if they had cleaned house and stretched Paul, they'd have still been dancing around the cap limit. So it was all about strategizing, chess moves, and maybe a little bit of basketball magic to make it all work. The Suns, strapped for depth, believed they could play the field better with the cap exceptions they scored by trading Paul. We're talking about the non-taxpayer mid-level exception and the biannual exception. 2 cards they were betting on. Phoenix knew they could build a stronger team using these cap exceptions than if they stuck with Paul. And you know what? It was a plausible argument, especially with the latest CBA throwing curveballs. With Paul on the roster, they risked losing out on the taxpayer mid-level exception. But now, without him, they're dancing below the first apron's hard cap, giving them the green light to cash in those exceptions on free agents. Sure, the biannual exception at around $4.5 million won't make a massive splash, but that non-taxpayer mid-level exception, a cool $12.2 million, and that can swing the tide. Here's the kicker. Phoenix didn't just toss Paul aside for no reason. They were not about to eat $15.8 million in dead money for nothing. They have a game plan, a strategic blueprint that demanded the financial wiggle room trading him could unlock. In simpler terms, they've got a vision, and they needed the room to maneuver financially. Golden State Warriors. So, why in the world did the Golden State Warriors, fresh off a second-round playoff exit against the Lakers, decide to make this bold move? Well, for starters, it's all about the new kid in town, General Manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. He wasn't kidding around when he stepped into the role, and he came swinging for the fences. NBA Draft Day rolled around, and boom, we got ourselves a blockbuster deal. Dunleavy and the front office went all in, sending a package that included Jordan Poole, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Ryan Rollins, a 2027 second-rounder, and a top 20 protected 2030 first-round pick to the Washington Wizards. In return, CP3. And the 57th overall pick, Trace Jackson Davis. Now, I get it. This trade raised a lot of eyebrows and left many fans scratching their heads. You got the Warriors giving up a young and talented guard in Poole, not to mention the extra young guns in future picks. In return, they get an aging veteran who's about to hit the big 3-9 by the time playoffs roll around. But here's the kicker, folks. This wasn't a snap decision. The Warriors didn't roll the dice without a game plan. There's a whole playbook of reasons behind this move, and it's time to uncover them. Short-term window. First things first, let's talk about the short-term game plan. Now, it's no secret that Jordan Poole was headed to the Wizards, and he's likely to shine brighter in the 2023-24 season than CP3 would for the Warriors. But the Dubs had specific needs that demanded an upgrade, and they got just that. In the 2022-23 season, the Warriors handed Poole the keys to run their second unit. Unfortunately, that experiment crashed and burned fast. Poole struggled to find his scoring groove and failed to set up his teammates effectively. The result? Coach Steve Kerr had to shuffle his deck and rearrange Draymond Green's minutes to stabilize that second unit. But with Chris Paul in the picture, Golden State now boasts the best backup point guard in the league. We're talking about a guy who was on an all-NBA team a little over a year ago. And if the Warriors decide to keep their young guns, Kuminga and Moody, CP3 could work his magic and turn them into game-changing rotation pieces. This trade is all about upgrading for the here and now. Locker room. The Warriors had issues last season. Everyone knows about the feud between Poole and Draymond Green during training camp. Coach Kerr tried to downplay the impact during the season, but let's face it hindered the Warriors' 2022-23 campaign. They couldn't sweep it under the rug any longer, and it was clear they needed to make a tough call for the sake of team chemistry. This trade not only addresses the locker room dynamics, but also brings in a savvy, experienced player who's been through it all in the NBA, except for one thing: winning a championship. The Warriors are banking on CP3 to bring that championship pedigree and reset the vibes in the locker room. This trade isn't just about what happens on the court, it's about the culture and camaraderie that can make or break a team's season. Financial implications. Now, let's talk dollars and cents. Sure, Paul might be making more than Poole in the 2023-24 season, but here's the game changer. The Warriors front office and ownership unleashed a strategy to tackle their growing and unsustainable payroll situation. What does this mean? Well, it means they've got a financial roadmap now. They've freed up enough cash to sweeten a deal for Draymond Green in free agency if the need arises. And no, let's not forget about Klay Thompson, who's up for a new deal soon. This move gives them the negotiating leverage they need. But here's the kicker. Paul's contract is set to come off the books at the end of next season, either completely or at a reduced rate. That's a financial breather. And this timeline syncs up perfectly with Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. These two will be eligible for contract extensions after their third season. So imagine this. The Warriors might have the flexibility to ink new deals for these young guns, provided they continue shining bright at Golden State. This trade isn't a short-term upgrade. It's a strategic play for the future. It's about setting the stage for financial maneuvers that can reshape the Warriors' destiny. Now, before we call it a day, don't forget to check out our next video. James Harden's secret promises and sacrifices that led to a 76ers betrayal. Trust us, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.